Hello. Thank you, everyone, for participating in the 2026 MIT Mystery Hunt. Welcome to RAPA. So before we get into some details of Mystery Hunt, I wanted to talk about MIT Puzzle Club a little bit. Mystery Hunt runs alongside and because of MIT Puzzle Club. We're a student group at MIT. We often write and solve puzzles together with many larger events throughout the year and then much smaller events weekly, bi-weekly for students. We run the first year aquarium puzzle hunt if there are any MIT students who have been through that. The MIT Sudoku Open, Logic Puzzle Open, and Crossword Opens, which are open to the public, and we have several meetings throughout the year. If you're an MIT student, the best way you can help us is by getting involved. You can do this by joining, we have a Discord server via the MIT Discord Hub. You can email us. Our email is on many of the next few slides. And you can visit puzzles.mit.edu for more info. Yep. So a few of our upcoming events, like I said, these are open to the public. The dates are March 7th for the MIT Sudoku Open, April 4th for the MIT Logic Puzzle Open, and sometime in the fall we'll hold our second MIT Crossword Open. These dates are somewhat tentative, but look out for updates on the website and through emails and everything. Really quickly, I wanted to thank a bunch of MIT departments and organizations without which this would not have been possible. So thank you to all of these organizations for helping us with booking rooms, like making this event happen, and various like puzzle and like content things throughout the hunt. And thank you to Providence for the MIT Mystery Hatch, for those of you who participated in that. Also, thank you to our sponsors. Yeah. We have 3 tiers of sponsors. We have our contributing sponsor, 2 Sigma, our signature sponsor, Tutor Intelligence, who I'll talk a bit about. If you're looking for more puzzles now that Mystery Hunt is over, you can try their coding challenge at atomsnotelectrons.com. Founded by a group of MIT alumni, Tutor develops general-purpose robot hardware embodiments, trains billion-parameter foundation models on massive real-world datasets, and deploys their finished robot workers directly into factories and warehouses, producing the critical consumer goods you know and love. Join to help scale their robot fleet and build the hardware, software, and models to automate physical labor. And then in our featured sponsors, we have Boxaroo, Coachable, HRT, and Jane Street. And I'll talk a little bit about each of them as well. Boxaroo. Boxaroo enjoys answering some of the world's hardest questions, like, how do I get out of this room? And is this a puzzle? And in the off chance that you like puzzles, you can come check them out. They do escape rooms, puzzle events, and work for hire. Learn more at https://boxaroo.me. They in this hunt, for those of you who saw, helped us with the jigsaw puzzle Starry Night. Coachable is our second featured sponsor. They provide private, personalized training for current and aspiring software engineers. You work directly with their team and keep working with you until you actually get and accept your next job. There's no money down. They're paid only if you accept an offer you're happy with. They tend to work best with new grads or engineers pushing towards senior or staff roles. Learn more at coachable.dev. Our third one is HRT. HRT is excited to sponsor the MIT Mystery Hunt's Cryptic Conference. At Hudson River Trading, our mathematicians, engineers, and puzzle enthusiasts thrive on solving challenging problems, whether they're unraveling market mysteries or searching for solutions as elusive as a cryptid itself. Fueled by technology and collaboration, their global community of experts brings curiosity and creativity to every adventure as they work to build the future of trading. If you love the thrill of the puzzle hunt, join them and discover what's possible when sharp minds come together. Learn more at hudsonrivertrading.com/student opportunities. Our last sponsor is Jane Street. Jane Street is a research-driven trading firm with offices worldwide, and they're looking for curious minds to join their team. Learn more at janestreet.com. So as you know, Mystery Hunt costs a lot of money to put on. Half of our money comes from donations alongside these sponsors. So if you're non-MIT, the best way you can help us, besides participating in our hunt, enjoying our hunt, is by donating to Puzzle Club, which you can do at puzzles.mit.edu. Your donations will be tax deductible. I'll pass it to Benji to talk about story a bit.
Hello. Before I start yapping, I want to give some serious props to Annie and the rest of our students and members of PC. So Annie, Riley, Sevajet, Aloy, Daff, Allison, you guys smashed it this year. So if you're a student and you liked anything about what you saw this weekend, consider joining. If you're a lot more guests, please consider donating. I hear it's tax deductible, so. Right, so my name is Benji. I helped develop the theme, story, structure for this event, and I was one of the editors-in-chief. What that means is I will yap at you about those things now. Great, so story. There were eggs involved. To recap what happened at kickoff, we learned about this conference of cryptid enthusiasts. One of them, Professor Burnham, supposedly had an egg, a real monster egg, and was going to show it. The monster investigation team, a secret government agency, wanted to infiltrate and take this egg back. They tried to. There was a scuffle. Egg hatched. One of these guys came out and was so distressed it opened up a portal to a whole another world. From then on, we hired all of you to help the MIT find a solution to this problem. What ended up happening was you entered this whole big world, made friends with monsters, decoded artifacts, solved fantasy racism, and did some other stuff. And then it turns out all that was helpful, and it turns out, so in the conclusion of the story, the monsters actually knew how to close the portal all along. They just wanted you guys to solve some puzzles, and that worked, apparently. So that's that in a nutshell. I'll talk about how that relates to the hunt structure now. Oh. What? Okay. This diagram is scary. I think I made this. I'll talk. So there are kind of three components that you need to solve to trigger the endgame of this hunt. One of them was going through all 9 zones in what we call the kingdom. This is the portion of hunt that is accessible to all of you immediately. It's where you played Mon quests, did research tasks, earned points, launched puzzles. There were 9 different zones in the kingdom. Each one had a capstone associated with the monster clan that occupied that zone. You saw 9 capstones, you do a meta on top of that. That's one condition. Separately, there were artifacts that were released on the way. These were kind of meta-matching metas that use the answers to the puzzles in this region. Solving all of those triggered an interaction with us, where we gave you pins. We ran out of pins. We'll see if something can be done. We can't promise anything, but that happened. The third kind of condition was, as this was happening, there were 6 dimension rounds, which are kind of standalone crazy rounds that are released along the way. We released these for you early so that you could take a look at some of the other crazy content we had early, even if you were a small team. So the goal, if you wanted to get to the end, was to finish all 3 of these things. That's that in a nutshell. I'll talk about some of those things in detail now. Oops. There. As I mentioned, 9 capstone metas, each corresponding to a zone, and 8 artifact metas. When you saw the 9 capstone metas, that triggered an interaction where you came to visit us, and I'll spoil some answers here. I won't spoil too much meta content, but you end up forming an organization called the Night's Watch, and the kind of story there is you start to contribute to a giant mural that symbolized monster unity. and some of you got to do that. What? I skipped some content. Right. Here's just an example of one of the puzzlehunts you befriended. Use this to solve the capstones. Maybe I should have said that. But this is an example of one such monster. This is a big Garf. If I wasn't already getting sued by Nintendo, we encoded a lot of puzzles into designs of these monsters and their information. Here's some more little guys. Now we talk about the Night's Watch. So, as you solve through the hunts, there are some kind of hints that imply that some of the monster clans actually hate each other. If you visited Kitty City or Houndtown early on, you might find that there were wanted posters for dogs, cats locked up in jail. Some of the entries for the Monarch said that monsters, detested monsters from like other regions or something like that. You guys try to fix that by making this mural slowly but surely. Good job. We helped a little bit, but you guys did most of the work. Right. As I mentioned, there were kind of like these 6 crazy rounds that opened alongside this kingdom section. Here's a little kind of sneak peek at each of them. Again, I don't want to spoil content for those who are looking to play the puzzles afterwards, but I'll kind of briefly walk through each of them. I think what we expected was that teams would kind of like split their focus between the two. I think what happened in practice was people unlocked the Land of No Name, got very excited about it. Turns out that maybe puzzlers like puzzles more when they don't have to read anything. I don't know. Right. So each of these dimensions is like ruled by some kind of legendary monster. The legendary monster has powers that kind of affect how that round structure worked. I don't know. I'll walk through those. This is the Land of No Name. There are 26 puzzles. Some other things are a set of 26. When you first start the round, there are no letters. Each of the puzzles maps to a letter. When you solve that puzzle, you return that letter to all the puzzles. Pretty self-explanatory. There was a meta puzzle. It played pretty hard. Our bad. But you guys did well. Trust me. Next is hydraulic space. This round had 12 normal puzzles and 12 puzzles that had no content, which is weird, I guess. Turns out the puzzles live on some kind of weird hyperbolic object. I don't really know math, so you'll just have to take my word for that. You can blame Dan. So the gimmick was once you understood this object a bit more, you could back solve these empty puzzles somehow. Next is the Atlas of Mosaics. There are these levels that you have to tile with hexagons. Each kind of like puzzle was broken up into multiple levels that had a bank of hex tiles. Each level had its kind of own rules governing how to properly place those tiles. The final kind of thing you make when you zoom out, I can't really say here, but if you know, you know. I think we made some of you have a certain disdain for a certain country. Next slide. This was the crippling gambling addiction round. The premise here was that there are these, if you know what gotcha is, gotcha banners. If you don't know, good. Puzzles in this round were split into a bunch of different pieces. In order to gain these pieces, you needed to pull on each banner. And you got some subset of them. You need to pull more to get all of them so you could actually solve the puzzles. In order to earn currency, there are these fun little quests that you solved that were essentially knowledge checks for those puzzles. The casino may or may not be rigged. That's all I'll say about that. Next is the Terminus round. The lore here was that this round is the result of one of the legendary monsters creating like a bazillion universes that were each tagged with some kind of keyword. This round was essentially a ton of mini puzzles that you unlocked by entering a keyword to explore different universes. And that's all I'll say. And our last dimension is the glitch. This is kind of like an uncanny valley, messed up version of the kingdom from the beginning of the hunt. All the puzzles here were relatively normal. They had like some glitches or mistakes in them that you needed to understand in order to solve the puzzle and eventually solve the meta. And the kind of final sequence of this round involves replicating a storied glitch from a certain game series. Check it out if you know, you know. And yeah, oh right. What was our writing philosophy? I think one of the big guiding principles was we wanted to cultivate a sense of exploration. We wanted to make this world feel real, which was a big motivation for making MonQuest. We wanted to make it exciting to progress further in the hunt, see what's coming next. We wanted to have that kind of like ooh feeling every time you opened like anything. We wanted to make sure the hunt was fun for teams of all sizes and all kinds of puzzlers, and that's why we had kind of a larger quote unquote fish or easier section. Maybe some of those puzzles were not so easy, but but we wanted like teams at all stages to be able to experience crazy stuff, kind of no matter where they were. And we gave you guys a lot of choices. We probably drowned you in choices, but we were hopeful that if you were choosing between thing you might like and thing you might like and thing you might like, that you would end up with a thing you might like. So again, really we just focus on what we find fun in the hopes that if we inflicted that upon you guys, enough of you would find it fun. And frankly, I'm honored that as many of you took the plunge and indulged us the way you did. You guys submitted some crazy submissions to the RP task and stuff. We'll go into that, but just very thankful that there's a community and campus here that can appreciate the things we did, no matter how insane they were. So, yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm Allie, or Victoria, I guess. And I am going to talk a little bit. I'm one of the operations leads for Cardinality, and I will talk a little bit about some of the early hunt highlights. So I think Benji already mentioned this briefly, but we came up with this ambitious idea of building an entire game world for puzzle discovery and tasks because we felt like writing hunt was like too easy or something. I don't know. But the game world did feel very fitting given our theme. And pulling this off involved cranking out maybe something like one zone every single week in November and December. Pretty wild, but people were really excited about it and felt like it would be exciting for others as well. And so we just kind of, stuck to it and hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Hope it brought back some good nostalgia. There are a lot of like Easter eggs and fun corners across the different zones. Another thing that I unlocked very early on in our Kingdom round was the puzzle called Novelty Store, or we called it the Tamagotchi. And people could come to HQ to pick up a device. And the first step they would have to do is to walk to hatch it. We saw a lot of really amusing approaches to this hatching during test solves, from people going for a rapid run, swinging devices like crazy from the lanyard, which is why we had to say to please be careful and not drop it, or just very vigorous shaking. We did a really big assembly line of these in California and then realized about a week or two ago that we were going to need to convince TSA to let us bring those through the airport. Luckily, they all made it here. Very good. But yeah, hopefully you had some fun playing with these devices and that it brought back more nostalgia than PTSD from the beeping. Another physical puzzle from our Kingdom round was Puzzle the card game. So this card game was used for both the Elder Drift's capstone puzzle and also one of the recurring events. You could come and compete in a tournament. Sometimes when we had an odd number, I think we had a staff member to try to go challenge and sometimes lose. We were delighted to see a lot of teams also playing the game when we went on classroom visits, or even I think during one of the final runarounds. And I suspect the time spent staring at this game also helped people buff up on their spelling skills of Puzzlemon names during the spelling bee. So there we go. All right, I'll hand it over to Max.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Max. I played Professor Burnham, also this year's Benevolent Dictator. So everyone in the hunt had to engage with our research point system. We kind of used this as a way to combine the scavenger hunt and the events. We wanted to find a way to make the scavenger hunt and events have more meaning in the context of the overall hunt and not feel like additional things kind of tacked on, and also find a way to get more people to experience events. So as you guys are all aware, research points were essential to make any progress in the hunt. If you did no research tasks, got no research points, you got no puzzles. So we had a handful of types of ways to earn research points. We had Monquest tasks, things that happened inside Monquest. Monarch tasks, every time you guys solved any capstone, you had the ability to play around with the monsters from that region. Submission tasks, those are more like a la scavenger hunt style things. Auto-graded tasks, some other fun things that either submitted to an answer or little fun games within the website. And then we split up events into recurring events and large-scale events. Large-scale events, I think, are more common throughout other years of Mystery Hunt, and I'll say a little bit more about the recurring events on the next slide. It was quite a challenge to kind of balance between on-site and remote. We wanted to make sure that fully remote teams were still able to complete the hunt. But then obviously those that were on site were able to do all those things plus all the on-site stuff. So a lot of you that were on site had a lot of opportunity to build very, very large RP balances. We have a stat later on about the teams that had the most RP. So hopefully we did have a warning early on that you only need I think 152 RP to finish the hunt. Hopefully teams, even if you went beyond that, still enjoyed the tasks that you guys did. All right, so yeah, these events, the smaller recurring events unlocked throughout the hunt, throughout the kingdom portion of the hunt. There's a list of all 10 of our events there. These are both recurring and the large-scale ones. I'll speak a little bit to a couple of them that I thought were particularly interesting. The first was advanced pictograms. This is where we asked teams to send multiple people from their team. We split them up into puzzle makers or code makers and code breakers, and then we handed the code makers some very trolly pairs of objects plus items. So for example, one of them was we would give you a set of bananagram tiles that were all consonants and ask you to clue your partner, or clue the other part of your team on the word oiseau, which contains all the vowels. Or we gave you a bunch of chess pieces and asked you to clue the word checkers. So I thought that was a particularly fun one. Cryptids Exposed. We were still all invited to the Cryptic Conference to explore cryptids. So we told everyone to come and present their new cryptid discovery to the world, only to find out that they had to draw the cryptid and then try to guess which cryptids other people drew were real, a la Dixit or a bunch of other games. And then the MIT Mystery Hunt Integration Bee. I didn't know until somewhat recently that MIT had an integration bee. I'm a math major. I enjoy integration. So someone had proposed something earlier in the year, and we found a way to make it an event. So we gave integrals, most of which were much easier than the integration bee itself. But The puzzly twist to that was that the integrals all solved to the same answers each time around. And they spelled the name Cleo, who is some interesting figure on Math Stack Exchange, if you weren't aware. On the right-hand side, this is not something I expected before Hunt. On the right-hand side was what our just outside our Open HQ looked like before pretty much all of our time slots. It was a bunch of folks from the team who were running these events, pretty much serving like folks at the airport picking people up, getting people for each of their individual events, and then bringing them to other places in the Student Center. I thought it was awesome just to see the number of people from various teams all coming to the Student Center and participating in these events. We ran 110 instances across our 10 events, covering 577 groups, which I am very proud of.
I'm going to talk briefly about the two large events that we hosted. So the first one was on Friday night, and it was called Field Day. And that's where we invited teams to send representatives to compete in a series of challenges that would test their dexterity, collaboration skills, and precision, all of which are valued greatly by Puzzmon. So the four events that they would have to rotate across were egg balancing, where they had spoons and eggs, and the pair of people from each team had to carefully hand off the eggs to each other without dropping them, making as many laps as possible in the 3-minute span. Their second one was cup stacking, where you had to build as tall as possible, a tower as tall as possible out of the cups. But the twist was that the person who was manipulating the cups was blindfolded, and their teammate had to tell them what to do. Now, the funny thing about this is when we tested this previously, we actually found that when just one person left to their own devices built a tower blindfolded, they actually did a better job than when a second teammate was helping, but perhaps getting distracted by competitors and saying, oh my God, let's change our strategy. But we kept it with 2 people because it was more fun. The third activity was the ball toss, which was inspired by throws in Pokemon Go or other games, where you can make nice, great, or excellent throws, and depending on that, you get different scores. So yeah, that was really fun to watch everybody hone their accuracy over time and cheer each other on. And the fourth activity was plane throwing. So teams were given, I think, 5 sheets of paper to craft paper airplanes and then try to get them to a target area. They had to be very strategic. We had to be very strict on what counted as a plane. As early testing revealed, people would just kind of ball it up and throw it as hard as they could. Our second event on Saturday morning was Puzzmon Yoga, where our early birds learned a series of yoga poses inspired by the aviary of Puzzmon. And then in part 2 of the event, they learned how to mimic their beautiful cries. And we really appreciated the people who showed up very ready with yoga mats and full-on workout gear. And we also learned that these bird calls were very audible from our own HQ. So about once an hour, we were serenading our own team with all sorts of weird sounds. We also got so many incredible, funny, creative submissions from all of you throughout the weekend. I think other people alluded to this, but we were thinking really hard about how to make sure these tasks would feel fun to you all, and that they would be welcome breaks rather than something that was distracting from puzzling and things like that. We think you all had fun doing it. And even though this meant that we had a crazy submission queue along with our hint queue, our team also had so much fun looking at everybody's submissions. So we've picked a couple to share here with you. If we picked all of our favorites, we'd be here for another week. But yeah, I'll show a couple more of these. We got a lot of really artistic and creative comics featuring Puzzmon and elements from our hunt. Teams made really creative Puzzmon recreations out of all sorts of materials. we were sent a lot of sometimes terrifying ransom notes. And I also learned during a classroom visit that for one team, their kid learned about the concept of a ransom note because of this. I'm so sorry. A lot of assorted and creative MIT henges, including sun chips. Yeah, those are sun chips. Of course, many tributes to Steve. Steve was probably our easiest puzzmon to spell, I would say. This is not exactly a submission, but one of our other physical puzzles was called Da Bomb and involves some mysterious spicy hot sauces. And I'll read out some hint snippets that we got. We want the sauce names for 1 to 10. One of our members tasted them, and his stomach is broken now. So we do not want him to try again. Our own staff members were banned from trying some of the hot, spiciest sauces until I think maybe tonight. And another one, a strong hint to move us forward would help. We don't have anyone willing to try the sauces anymore. And then just a quick sneak peek at in one of our Dimensions rounds, Fate's Thread Casino, we welcomed your input on some of the most controversial questions of all time, such as whether puzzle hunt is one word or two, cats or dogs, how to pronounce, actually, stata, I guess, I don't even know. All right, and then I will hand it over to talk about some more stats.
Oh man, just when I think I'm done. Okay, all right. So some high-level stats. These are pretty self-explanatory, but 280 teams out there solved a puzzle at all, which incredible. 35 teams got to solve a dimension, hopefully the alphabet one. And 15 teams solved all the metas and finished the hunt. You guys collectively earned like 18,000 research points. Good job. And some more stats. I think a big graph is coming. Not yet. I will let these speak for themselves. I guess NES backsolved that puzzle really quickly or something. I figured. I figured. 800 Monquest deaths is quite impressive. Wow. I think we told teams how many RP they needed, but most teams went above and beyond. Sadly, we do not have skins to unlock. Maybe next time. Some hint stats. Our hinters did God's work. Yeah, these were tough. Yeah, you can see some slowdowns in the middle of the night, but we kept strong pace. Median hit response, wow, less than 5 minutes. Dang. Okay. Okay. You can see when MonQuest started kicking into full gear. There was also a lot of Atlas work done between November and now. That whole round just kind of came together through a miracle. And a lot of load testing was done, and we broke things in many different ways. But luckily, we managed to fix things mostly. So yeah, good job, dev team. Other things. Wow. Thank you to our 26 subscribers, and thank you to everybody else for knowing when to stop. I don't know why Crows was visited so much. That's crazy. And the Brights was, wow, okay, those fish were brutal. Jeez. A, okay, that makes sense. Right. 14 teams finished. I'll give you all your flowers. Whoosh, Galactic Translators, meow. Test Solutions, Music Ignore, NES, Super Team Awesome, Unicorn Equivalents, a team that is now named later. Literally Animal Farm, Meow Meow Meow, Death and Mayhem, Level 1 Spicy, The Math Magicians, 17th Shard, and copy of Sheet 1. I skipped one. Society of Spirits finished. Right in the nick of time. Oh, I skipped another one. We'll come back to that. Graph. I'll try to get my meteorologist report here. This hunt structure was kind of weird, so like honestly, I don't even know how to read this. It was a very tight race, I think. Ah, okay. Tight race. A lot of teams finished close together towards the end. I don't know what to say. The Math Magicians. We will fix this. This is puzzle solver time. Sorry, this was metas. Here's your puzzles. This is even less readable. But I think you get the idea. Providence Galactic were pulled ahead the night of the 17th. And a huge clump of teams finished not long after, I guess. Okay. I will pass things off to Max now.
Cool. All right, last part of the hunt, final runaround. I'm going to scrub through some of this because I don't want to spoil you, because I think folks will be able to recreate some parts of the final runaround themselves if they want to. This is a video from the first one that we ran. Yeah, so, sorry. I will, okay. So at the end, after solving all the puzzles in all the capstones in the kingdom, as well as all 6 dimension rounds, and the artifact meta. The boss, Jerry, Victoria, and Burnham arrived at the team's headquarters to inform them that in order to close the portal, teams must solve one more puzzle constructed by all 7 keepers. I'm going to be a little bit more vague here to not spoil you all, but teams were brought to the borderline and given puzzles from 12 of those Puzzmons that use the borderline murals, and each solved to one of the 6 data types in the terminus round. After solving all 12, teams were then brought to a classroom to close the portal. In the final classroom, teams were given an additional 12 puzzles. For each puzzle solved, teams earned 3 coins to pull from our gotcha machines. Oops. Sorry, skipped too far. Let me... Yeah, so teams were given coins, earned 3 coins to pull from our gotcha machines, sponsored by Fate's Thread Casino. They were also given 4 coins to start. One of our gotcha machines dispensed hexagon and heptagon tiles, while the other dispensed letter tiles. This is representing the Atlas of Mosaic, Hyperbolic Space, and the Land of No Name, respectively. Teams had to then solve crossword-style clues that were filled in with the letters that were drawn. If I scroll back a little bit, you can see example of some of those clues. And then they had to construct some object, I won't say what the object was, out of the hexagons and heptagon tiles to discover a new field of monster investigation. The glitch round was also represented in some way, but I won't say more as to not spoil folks as to how that was done. And then... After discovering that new field of study, the winning team was then shown a picture of the big Nobel Prize and had to solve one final puzzle hidden on the back of the coin. This puzzle solves to the phrase "come home." It's C-O-M-E, H-O-M-E in various pretty traditional ciphers. And after the team collectively shouted "come home," the child and all the Puzzlehunts were able to return home, and the winning team was awarded the big Nobel Prize to acknowledge their contributions towards improving monster-human relationships and pioneering this new field of study. At this time, I would like to ask the recipients of the Nobel Prize, big Nobel Prize, and the winners of the 2026 MIT Mystery Hunt to stand up and receive their applause. The Providence Bureau of Investigations. Great job, y'all. All right, so before we wrap up, I'll have one more thing to say about merch, but before we end here, I would be remiss to not thank all of Cardinality for all of their work this year. Thank you guys for all your hard work. It was truly an amazing and unforgettable year, and we really put on something really fantastic. All right, so on to practical matters. There is still some merch available. There are no more t-shirts. There are stickers and postcards. Stickers are $4, postcards are $2. I believe we're selling them outside again somewhere. Where Sushi? Here? Outside, yes, back outside again. Cool. And then, solutions should now be available. Thank you all. Thank you all for attending the 2026 Cryptic Conference and the 2026 MIT Mystery Hunt. Best of luck to Providence, and we all look forward to what you can whip up for us next year.
can generally pull off 5 or 6 metas that generally gets us there. Right, we got 5 capstone but we just need it. That was when I heard your, oh, I feel better now.
My exact thought.
Yeah, I think you said it out loud.